Okay, hi everybody. DK here with Mr. V Amps again, and we got another project. This one is also the result of one of the adverts I had out. We had an advert out for purchasing your unwanted, damaged, broken amplifiers for chump change so you could get rid of them, because obviously nobody who deals in used equipment wants anything broken. Well, I do, because it gives me stuff to do on this channel, and we can potentially do something with it. This is a Bugera Vintage 55. These are sort of Behringer's tube amp, if you will. Some people really like them. This has a single 12-inch speaker, I believe 2 6L6s, and 2 channels, like a clean and a gain channel. So let's just take a look at what it does and doesn't do. So we'll turn it on first and give that a moment for the tubes to warm up. Plug a cord into it so you can hear it along with me. Cosmetically, it's a little rough, but it'll actually clean up. We got some Tolex coming loose. I know this isn't smell-o-vision, but it smells a little bit like gasoline, so I have a feeling it was stored in a garage. But you know, that can all clean out, buff out. Tolex is a little loose over here. That can be tightened. Got a little ding and a nick here. That can be leveled. The handle's rough, but that can be replaced. So I'm not too worried about that. Let's take it off the standby here, and we've got on the clean channel. That works fine. Clean quality, you know, pot's clean, doesn't make buzzy noises. Let's switch it. Well, let's leave it on the clean channel. Let's go through the bass. Good. Mids are okay. Mid boost works okay, and treble works okay. And there's a master volume over here. Presence, which is like kind of a high treble feedback loop thing. That's all okay. Problem I see is here. Reverb. It ain't got none. So I ain't got no reverb. So we're going to deal with that. If I put it on the gainy channel. Oh yes. So gain channel seems to work fine. So the main problem is it's grubby. It's going to need a power cord, because again, some genius broke off the third prong of the power cord. Guys, stop doing that, okay? Please stop doing that. This one is one of those IEC cables, so that one I would have to actually do surgery. But I want to figure out why the reverb doesn't work, make sure the tubes are good, and then we're going to fix the cosmetics, and then find this amp a new home. So first impressions here aren't too bad. This is actually kind of cool. There's a RCA bias test jack and a bias adjust there, so that makes life easier. The tubes are protected underneath this shield, and I think my screwdriver drill might have trouble fitting in there due to being a little big. Let's see, there's one. And we got a couple more screws. Yeah, I'm gonna have to walk around this with a screwdriver. Stand by. Okay, so the shield is off. Now we can get the tubes out. We have, it says Bugera on it, premium selected. It does not state the country of manufacture, but that is China, I can tell. Alright, so 12AX7 from China, and a 12AX7 from China. I have a feeling these are the original tubes, which if they test good, great. No problem. Another 12AX7 from China. Should be a 6L6 GC premium selected. That sure looks like a China tube. It might not be, but I'm betting it is. That one looks like the labeling on it is a little discolored from heat, but it is a 6L6. They do get warm. Yeah, same thing. So, okay. So we've got 3 12AX7s and 2 6 L6s. Now I guess the goal is to find the reverb, because obviously I don't see any place for a pan in here, so that's probably a digimodule in here somewhere. So let's see. Can you see what we're doing? Let's adjust you so you can see too. Going up. Okay. So big PC board, and it is facing down, so we're gonna have to unscrew it to get the pieces parts in here. This is apparently the chassis ground one, because it says right there. But, I don't see anything that looks tremendously questionable. This is one of those big resistors, and they actually were smart enough to cut a slot in the board so it can cool a little better. So that's actually some positives for the design of this. And I have a gut feeling that even if I get all of these out of here, the board still isn't going to come out until we take the nuts off the potentiometers, but we shall see. So what do you think, kids? Is this mess back here the reverb? Could be. I don't know. The reverb module, or the pot for the reverb's over here. This might be the switching. No. The board's looks a little greasy, but it's, you know, probably just because they didn't clean it good. I forget, what was the other board that we saw that was really greasy, that when we pulled it out? It needed, oh yeah, that Black Star board. That Black Star was real greasy like this. And I know somebody's going to be mad that I said greasy instead of greasy. Alright. Let's see. For our knobs, they just pop off, I think. Yep, and we got nuts on every one, so let me take these off and then we'll get in here. Okay, so our magic board has popped out. This is Bugera board P0804. Looks like this was manufactured like around 2009, so it's not that old. I think that's right. Anyway, who cares? All of this jazz looks fine and healthy. It looks like they actually used some pretty beefy resistors on here. More so than I would expect on a budget amplifier. I mean, we got some beefy, you know, 1 and 2 waters up here in the power section. That looks good. You know, these all sit up off the board real nice. Everything's cool there. This thing right here, this has got to be our reverb module. I will bet 50 cents that that's our reverb module. It says BDM2. I'm going to bet that stands for like Behringer delay module or Bugera delay module number 2. And I'm sure this is our problem because we got all these magic chips on the back, and one of these probably either belly flopped or something. I can look for this as a unit, as a part, which is probably what would make sense. But usually with these stupid things, what happens with all this little surface mount solder, something on here comes loose, gets cracked, something. So if I just bake this thing, you know, just heat it up and kind of give it a little reflow, we'll plug it in and see if it works. Who knows? That might just get the job done. Okay, so let's talk for just a split second before I try this thing again. I told you this was the delay echo reverb module. How do I know this? Well, honestly, I don't, but it's the only thing in here that has one of these. This silver thing is a crystal. It's an oscillator. And so that is like, you would find them in like a clock or anything that keeps time. So it's a timing device. What else would an amplifier need for a timing device other than a delay slash reverb? So seeing that there's a timer on there, that tells me that is a reverb. So that's why I'm going with that. It could potentially be some of the other gubbins on the other side there, but I'm going to bet those chips are probably, you know, reverb, echo, delay kind of chips. And you know, at this point, we're just trying to fix this thing for cheap and get her back on the market. Okay, so for all of you who've wished to have a more involved troubleshooting video, we got a new problem created here. In the process of putting the tubes in, I had an electro boom moment. I had the thing plugged in, it was turned off, but I was plugging in tubes and I accidentally elbowed it on, so I gave myself a little electro boom moment. But in getting the tubes plugged in, our preamp tubes are lighting up good with filament voltage, but our power tubes are not. What the heck? So we got to figure that out. Okay, that was super boring. This connector, which apparently is the filaments, that slipped off. Sorry, no adventure here, just boring oopses. Well, we'll go back to checking if the reverb module works in a few minutes after I run an errand. But for you, that's only going to be a few seconds, because you don't have to wait for me. Okay, so welcome back. I screwed the board back down in. The reverb module's like hanging out over here, which is kind of funny because its mix is over here. I got this on, so I don't want to have another electro boom moment. But the filaments on the other tubes are lighting up the way they're supposed to. So we should be able to function. Let me go grab a cable here so I can give it a little test. I do have the speaker plugged into it kind of with a long lead. Let's go on the normal channel here. Okay, I got output, but it don't reverb. At least I don't think it's reverbing. I got the reverb maxed out and I don't hear it reverbing. That sounds pretty stone dry to me. Alright. It's no reverb. That's allegedly reverb at max. I'm not buying it. Does the reverb only work if you're in the bright side? If that's the case, I'm going to feel stupid. That's definitely a torquey, bright sound. I still don't hear no reverb. Do you hear any reverb? Nope. Okay, so lucky us. Alright, so let's see here. The little board that takes the reverb down, it's this board right here, and then there's this jazzy circuitry over here. So let's just poke around a little bit and see what we see, and let's try not to shock the poop out of ourselves like we did earlier. We'll put our meter up there. Let's see, let's zoom you out so you can see our meter a little bit or something, so you got something to see. And I can't zoom you out anymore, I can zoom you in. That doesn't help you. And our camera battery is complaining I'm low. Take you up a little bit. Now you can see the meter. That helps. Okay, so you watch the meter and I'll poke around at these pins. I would think that it would be a pretty low voltage module. So we'll set our meter to 20 volts DC. This is allegedly the chassis ground point right there. So we can go there and then we can kind of walk around on the pins. And of course the damn tripod's right in my way. Let's see if we can go underneath it here. 3.5 volts. Got a bunch of zeros. minus 2.5, 0, minus 15, 3.5. So I got 3.5 volts on these two pins. That seems like about the operating voltage that it would normally feed it. And that's probably a ground. Then I got a minus 15 over here. Interesting. Now if I have that reverb turned all the way up, like all the way up, I'll turn the amp up so it's amply loud. I would think I could hear poking around on these pins. If I hit one of the audio pins from that, I shorted something, I think, for a split second. That one right there. That pin right there, I can hear it when I scratch. So I'm going to bet that's audio output. Okay, let me turn the volume on the reverb down to zilch. And then we'll scratch on it again and see if we still hear it. Yes, I do. Okay. Just curious. Let's charge our camera up, and I'll see if I can find any information on what that reverb module is. Okay, I'm trying to show you this. I'm injecting a tone. You can probably hear it going in the background there. I wanted to see if this was actually getting signal to the module, and it appears that it comes in on this pin. So from the front of the amp, it would be the lower left corner. You can see on my little mini scope that it is getting a signal, and it follows the gain. So it's getting sound in. I don't know which pin is out. I do have a schematic, but the schematic doesn't really include the module. It just says kind of module. And of course we determined these top four are all voltages to power the thing. So I've got signal in, but I don't know where to get signal out. But I suppose we could try to inject some signal in and see if we find it. Okay, so let's go to the lowest level signal we possibly can. And I'll take my little signal generator off of there. Alright, now it's still going woo, woo, woo for us all. You just don't get to hear it now. And let's clip it back here. Let's try not to shock ourselves. Be a good way to get some nice personal injury here on the channel. Because the amp is on. And I have the reverb signal. I'll turn it up a little bit just in case. So I've got a real low level signal, and we're going to try to put it on a few of these pins and see if we hear it. Do not hear it there. That's where it should go into. Where does it come out from? Okay, I don't hear it coming back out anywhere. Very interesting. And we do have the reverb pot cranked up. Let's crank that all the way up. thing is making noise, isn't it? Let's interject. Oh yeah, it's making noise. And the noise should be, you know, like I said, we can inject noise there. But I would think if we injected noise on the out, we'll hear it. And I do not. Alright, so that's something. Right. Alright, back to the drawing board. Okay, so day 2 on this Bugera amp. I was having some discussions with our friend in Canada, and one of his theories is that there is a good deal of rosin buildup. If we look at the bottom of the board here, I don't know if we can even see that. Let's see, let me zoom in, because I scraped a little bit of it and I fizzed it up so we can see it better. Let's see if we can zoom a little bit. Let's see. I think I'm looking the right place. Look right in about there. You can see this like chunked up rosin there. It's right there. And that's just rosin from the soldering process that hadn't been cleaned. So it's kind of a theory that some of this might have been getting conductive, so we're gonna scrub this junk down. There's also some, particularly there's a decent amount around the switches, which are up higher. Let's zoom back out here. Yeah, there's some among the switches that are, you know, like here, and then there's a good bunch of shmoo on this module too. So I'm going to clean all of these really thoroughly with isopropyl alcohol and then see if it accomplishes anything. Okay, so I'm trying to solve some weirdness here that I got going on. The amp is off, by the way, so if anybody's worried about me shocking myself, that ain't going to happen. I got my little tone generator, and I got my let's put this on like 0.2 of a volt sensitivity, and we're going to inject a tone over here to pin 7 of the, I don't know, is this in frame? Yeah, to pin 7 of the vacuum tube. I'll try to leave you so you can see the scope. So there's pin 7 of the vacuum tube, and so I got signal going bleep in there. And I should be able to find that on the scope. Let's clip the other end of the scope to the chassis and hope it catches a ground. Otherwise it'll be flailing around. Stupid probes. Okay, so here's my signal. It's huge. It's huge, believe me. And it goes to a 150K resistor, which is right there. There it is, it's huge. On the other side, it's there but reduced. Okay. This is the 470K resistor, and it should appear on the other side but reduced, and I get 0, zilch, nada, nothing. Okay, I got nothing. And let's increase our sensitivity so we can sense all the way down to like 10 millivolts. There's still nothing. There's nothing showing up there. So I said to myself, well, is it because 470 ohm resistors, you know, should be able to, you know, is that too much resistance for the signal to travel through successfully? That doesn't make any sense. So I'm sending the signal through, you know, a 470K resistor right here on the bench, and it can get through. Got my fingers, you know, all messing up in here and screwing it all up. But with that amount of resistance, I mean, let's go to like 1.5 volts. I should be able to see the signal going through there. It's got enough, it can go through. There we go. Yeah, it can go through. So if that much is the original signal, I should see half of that on the other side. and I don't. Which is weird. Would that make that resistor possibly open? Good grief. The other thing that's weird is this resistor here should go up to the header for the reverb here. Okay, so sorry for the crappy diagram. Let's see if we can get any light on that at all. There we go. So comes in here, 150K resistor either side is the send and receive. The 220K goes to send, and I have checked from the pin here. This pin to the 220 has about 0 ohms resistance. But what I believe is the return pin, there's 2 of them here, that both measure about 50 ohms to the 270. So something's leaking. We either got something from here, something over here, going from this return to here, that's just like there's some kind of leak. Everything's just going somewhere, and that ain't good. Yep. So now we got to figure that out, maybe. Okay, I have a really strong feeling I'm just overthinking everything, which can happen, especially to overthinkers like myself. I take this reverb module out of play. Take this out of play just by removing it, and now the signal's fine. So the signal that we were looking for is hitting the correct pins and everything here on this header, but when we plug this module in, everything goes to the toilet. So I think it's pretty much safe to say that this module is probably crap. That's what I thought initially, but I made the decision to seek the advice of somebody else who probably may have thought otherwise, and we've got these little chips. What are they? We've got, I think that says Core Audio, maybe Core Audio V1000 and V422M, and then this little IC56 might be an op amp. So yeah, this BDM2 module. Let's see if we can find one of these things. Doesn't look like it, but I think I did find one on a European website. They wanted €32 for this thing. Yeah. Okay, so this video was a rambling mess. Channel viewer Ringo Starr, you got your wish, but I didn't go crazy and dive down the rabbit hole by myself. So listen to this. Hopefully you can hear it. Houston, we have reverb. Okay, so I got to put all the screws back in this and get it down to pat. But what we ended up finding out, thank you very much to channel viewer Glass Monster for working with me and putting up with me. When I get frustrated, I yell, and that's how it is. I know I probably sound like Mr. Rogers on this channel, but yeah, I ain't Mr. Rogers. Won't you be my neighbor? Okay, so anyhow, let's look at this connector right here. Let's zoom in on this, okay? All right, let me make sure I got this thing off. Okay, and let's see if we can actually zoom. Can you focus? Focus. 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 Can you zoom? Can you zoom and stay focused? Can you? Huh? Can you? Okay, well anyway, here's the connector, and I want to kind of point this out. This is the connector where the reverb module goes. Now when we had that reverb module out, it had a 5-volt regulator on it, a 7805A regulator. That takes whatever voltage it's fed, positive voltage that it's fed, and drops it down to 5 volts to use on the circuit. The voltages that we're supposed to see, these top 2 pins, okay, so this is the front of the amp, the volume knob's up here. This is where the reverb module connects. We should have plus 15 volts about, minus 15 volts about, These next two pins do nothing. This one on this side on the bottom row is the in, and this one on this end is the out that goes to the reverb pot and out. Okay, so while we were talking about it, we came up to it. He's like, well, how many volts is that module even getting? I was like 3.8 and minus 15. He's like, well, where's your plus 15 or your plus 10? Because it's got a 5-volt regulator, and that needs to have at least like 7 or 8 volts to run right. And I'm like, I don't know. So we ended up, come down to this end of the board with me. Yeah, let's see, can you see? Okay, over here. Right there, that right there. That is the 3 legs of a regulator. There was a voltage regulator in there, 7815. This was supposed to output, it receives about 28 volts from the system and is supposed to drop it down to 15. It was dropping it down to about 3. So that's why when you come over here to this, why I was seeing 3 point something or other volts. That was the problem. So I hunted through my benzo crap, and I did not have a 7815. I had a 7812, which is a 12 volt regulator, so it'll give you 12 volts instead of 15 volts. But when you get to the reverby here, the reverb is looking to take 15 volts and drop it down to 5. So a 12 volt regulator will do the job just fine. If you have a 15 volt regulator, please use that, because there is a transistor that goes out through the effects loop, and in order to achieve maximum gain, it does like that plus 15 volts. But the 12 will work. I have tested it, it does work. So they'll get you by, and we're trying to spend next to nothing repairing this amp. And now I've still got to do cosmetics, so I'm going to have to put some money into a handle and a bath and a bunch of other things. But at this point, I can put this thing back together now, because it does play sound and it does have reverb. And hooray, this video is a freaking mess. Have a great day. Okay, everybody always wants to see these things work once they're done. I'm sure somebody's going to yell at me and tell me to tune my guitar, but I'm tired, and I'm tired of looking at this, so I just want to get this over with. So, clean channel, gains at 4, master volumes at like 8 out of 10. Reverb is set at about 3, and there's still enough on there to count, so. Sounds fine. I got some junk rattling in the background, and I got some rattling guitar strings, and then we'll try the gain channel. Gain's at 4, gain volume is like at 6, something like that. It works. Hooray. So we don't have to make this a part 1, part 2. It's just a part finished. Game over. Bugera fixed. I cleaned it up, glued down the loose Tolex. I could buy it a handle, but I think we're just going to put it up for sale locally as is and see if we have any hits. The cheaper the better. People like things that are cheap. And for some reason, most of the musicians around here are not really high on the cosmetics. This is more of a player than a collector, I think.